I mean, while we're on the topic of love, romance, and sex, and all of these other things I seem to have on my mind while I desperately, desperately try to get to sleep, I think, yeah, it's about 11. Oh, wow, it is exactly 11 p.m. right now. Um, it's almost the 26th. I, I'm really, I'm just jonesing for my kratom to come in the mail, 'cause in the US, kratom is legal to buy if you're 18 years of age. So I think that's kind of cool. I just, I just want my kratom, so I won't have to think about this fucking nonsense constantly. Well, not constantly, but while I'm trying to get to sleep. Um, I was thinking about aesthetics. And, while I desire to be a cute girl, obviously, those feminine affectations are the affectations that I would like to outwardly project to the world around me, because that's how I would feel the most comfortable whenever I'm addressed as a feminine person. That's when I'm the most comfortable. Whenever I have dressed as a feminine person, that's made me the most euphoric. Um, and like in general, I find the affectations associated with femininity and being a girl to be the things that make me the most happy at the individual level. And despite that continuous fascination with that side of humanity and continuous desire to be a part of it, I think males, especially young males, I'm talking late teens, early 20s here, but just males in general, have the most enticing aesthetics. They're the most attractive. And I struggle to explain this to people, because there's a difference between the aesthetics that you would like to present to other people and the aesthetics that you find attractive. Like human relationships are kind of like a puzzle. You have certain pieces that connect to one another, but that interconnectivity is what gives you the whole picture. Human beings are not monoliths. We are group-oriented creatures. For as much as I would like to not be one, we are group-oriented creatures. We're social animals. That doesn't mean we should go to the logical extreme of being social animals and constantly talk to other people or instill communism or some nonsense like that. But we are social animals. Um, and so, uh, human beings like to be like we're the connectivity of these elements creates the whole picture. Like you are a piece of the puzzle, you're not the entire picture. In order for the entire picture to be shown, you have to have other people connected to it. um and so when I think of relationships, what they really are just the other pieces of the puzzle forming the whole picture. That you have these traits that are valuable to the person who you're with, and they have traits that are valuable to you. Um, when I think of the most meaningful relationship I had, we were very different from one another in very key ways, but that was part of what I believed at the time, at least, and ultimately the actions that I took, the immaturity of myself, messed all of this up, but you know the whole story behind that. Um, I believe that, like the differences between us made the relationship stronger, because there were things that he was good at that I was not good at. There were things that he understood that I did not understand. and things that I understood that he did not understand. And when we would work together by bringing these different forms of understanding together, we were able to form a clearer picture than what either one of us would have had on our own. And that's basically what relationships are. It's cooperative. It's it's ultimately the sum total of all that both of you can put in, but you both have to be putting something in or else it doesn't work. Um, but when you do, you end up feeling more genuine than you were before. Like you're expressing yourself better than you ever could because now there's this other person who's able to channel these types of understanding, able to word these things that you couldn't on your own word. Um, Able to bring these feelings out of you that you'd been trying to bring out but couldn't without the mutuality of cooperation. And it's something you really only understand once you're with that other person. If there was any argument for the existence of human identity, it would certainly be that because it's a feeling unparalleled to any other. Um, you are very real when you're in a situation like that. And I find it fascinating. But that's why I think, like the male aesthetic is incredibly attractive and enticing. It's not something that I would want to be. It's not something that I am, but when I look at it, I just feel good, like I want to be around that. It isn't I want to be that. It's I want this in my life, you know? I want the values that this person represents and what they mean, like I want their truth to be a contingent part of my truth. Not for it to be my truth, but for it to be a part of it. For who they are to play a decisive role in my life, but not for me to act upon their role. Um, and ultimately, how we're attracted to that is largely dependent on the circumstances we come from, the genetics we're presented with, and the experiences we've had before any of this relationship shit blinks into our mind. But what I'm attracted to and what I find appealing is decisively masculine. Or not, well, maybe not decisively. I like there to be some feminine traits on that spectrum. Feminine, of course, meaning sensitivity and not being a dick, but that's kind of a low bar to hold. You could, you could easily make the argument that that's just masculine in a good way, so whatever floats your boat, Jack. Um, you know, I like gentlemen. Men who are gentle, but also men who are masculine in the way of having principles that, they hold to, people that are willing to fight for other people who care, you know. Um, I think that's one of the most brave things that you can do. It isn't all just about being calm under pressure or being able to brave your way through the worst tragedies. It's also having the strength to apologize. It's also having the strength to be able to bear the emotions of other people while being understanding to them, while being able to, being able to not be afraid to open up when the time is appropriate. It isn't about being pathetic. It's about being able to bear the brunt of the world, but not allow yourself to be unfeeling at the same time. To be strong, but not deaden emotions. Um, like the kind of radical sensitivity I have is more, oftentimes it feels like it's more on the feminine side, but like that idea of strength. I know I'm talking in very personal, like personality oriented terms here, but I'll get more into like aesthetics in a moment. I think those traits are really attractive, and the sort of Che Guevara, Che Guevara, the sort of why is that the first man that I can think of off the top of my head? The sort of heroic figures that you may think of throughout history, combined with this sort of new, I guess, sort of new agey, industrial society, liberal man, etc., mixed in there. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. In terms of aesthetics, like, I like beards. I find beards very attractive. Um, I said strength earlier in, like, these abstract philosophical terms, but I do find genuine strength, in the physical sense very attractive. Like, people who have a nice build and, like, they can pick you up. If they can pick you up, that's a huge plus. Um, uh, I mean, I don't need these very archetypically masculine traits by any means, but I do find them really attractive. Um, I mean, the softness, the kind of softness of like youthful men as well, with like no beard whatsoever and just kind of soft and and full of youngness, full of spunk, as they say. Uh, I find that really attractive too. Just sort of like looking at guys who um are pretty. I know that's really unspecific, but I just find guys really pretty. They're really pretty, and I admire them even though I don't want to be one. Hopefully that made sense.